Ladies and gentlemen, we have my buddy Evan, and you guys have seen Katrien. We are currently in Milwaukee, Wisconsin right now, as you can just briefly see, pulled into the Airbnb. We're going to be going to the Midwest Gaming Classic. I referenced that in my last video, so we will catch you there tomorrow. Otherwise, we will see you there at the convention. Over there says the Midwest Gaming Classic. We got coffee this morning. Katrien and Evan there. So, rolling up, we'll see you guys there. We're going inside, gonna do a little bit of a showcase. How is the $6 coffee, Evan? Gold. All right, we're gonna go and head in.
Now, I know this isn't the traditional game hunting that is on the channel. Actually, we just got done with a gigantic road trip starting from Minnesota, going to Milwaukee, Chicago, we hit Arkansas, and then we went all the way down to New Orleans and back to Minnesota. Giant cross-country trip. That's another reason you haven't seen me active here on the channel for a little bit. Stay tuned though, because besides the convention that is coming up, we also swung by Retro Rick's Game Point store in Arkansas. Really cool. I'm glad I got to go and experience that firsthand in person, but let alone approaching the convention. This was quite the amazing time. Now, if you're wondering how we ended up getting to the Midwest Gaming Classic, my girlfriend ended up surprising me with tickets for my birthday. I saw this online. I've always wanted to come and check it out. I didn't really know what I was to expect in person. Come to find out, the place was absolutely packed, which became a blessing and a curse, because at the same time there was a lot of pinballs, arcades, retro video games that we wanted to try, and if there's certain points where there was too many people, you couldn't quite get in and try all the things that you wanted to. But nonetheless, we still had an absolutely amazing time. I didn't get as much footage as I wanted to, and I was actually able to talk to Caleb from Phoenix Resale and do a little bit of networking with him. Really cool guy. I didn't want to shove the GoPro in his face, so unfortunately there is no footage of that coming up here on the channel. But overall, I think as you can tell from the clips, we definitely spent a lot of time in the pinball area. That's just something that I have been getting into. I didn't buy any games from any of the vendors. Obviously everything there's a little bit of a market price, and I'm just a guy who likes to get a bargain or a discount. But overall, it was a very, very good time. I would go back for sure. 10 out of 10 recommend. But now let's move forward into Retro Rick's game store. Before we completely jump into Retro Rick's game store, I just wanted to kind of show off a little bit of the vacation and some of the clips that we got prior. We did go out and visit one of the largest Starbucks locations out in Chicago. It was actually quite interesting, 5 stories tall. We took a little bit of a tour around Chicago while we were working our way down to Arkansas. This is one of my favorite cities of all time. Absolutely beautiful. Once we made it down to New Orleans, Evan and I got matching tattoos, and if you can guess, we got a Rat Reaper. Moving forward though, in Louisiana, one of my favorite things here was honestly the crocodiles. It's either alligator or crocodile. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I know one's in Florida, the other ones are elsewhere, but I just think they're magnificent creatures. We were able to get a few of them on camera. I think these shots turned out really, really awesome, and I just wanted to share them. A lot of the crocs here actually had missing limbs on the dock. It seems like they were getting in fights with each other, which was kind of interesting, and this will now transition us into Retro Rick's store. Ladies and gentlemen, the last stop on our trip, because I want to make it brief, is we're about to step inside. We went from Minnesota to New Orleans, and we are now in Conway, Arkansas, to visit Retro Rick's game store called Game Point, which we're outside in the parking lot upon getting a speeding ticket because they close in 50 minutes. It's equivalent to the scene from Lampoon's National Vacation where they show up and Wally World's closed.
First one's here. First one's here. First one's here.
We're gonna go inside and check it out. I don't know if Rick is here at the current moment. It would be pretty cool to meet him, and if he's watching this for some reason, can't wait to go check out the store, so let's go inside. Now, right off the bat, the first thing you see when you walk into the store is these ginormous 20, 30-foot ceilings, a gigantic Hulk right off the bat. There's Jeffrey from Toys R Us. There is so many
beautiful displays and signs. Everything inside the store is quite vibrant and packed, as you can see here. There is games upon games upon games, and if you've been following Retro Rick's channel for a while, you know that he's been expanding the store into some new categories, including VHS, vintage t-shirts, toys, and a bunch of other things that he's been adding, just like The Simpsons you saw towards the beginning. That was a new addition that he picked up. I believe it was out in Missouri. Now, once again, by the time we arrived, they were only open for another 50 minutes. Rick wasn't in store when we arrived, but that is still fine. I think it'd be very cool to meet him one day, but I am still very thankful that on this 800-mile trip, we were able to come out and visit his store in person. I remember when he dropped the video on his YouTube channel and the emotion that overwhelmed him opening the store and being able to transition into the owner, and that is something that I would maybe hope to like to do one day in the future. There's another YouTube channel called Joe's Classic Video Games that does a retro video game store like this, but he also does pinballs and arcades, and I'd love to do some type of fusion like this where Rick has, and you can see in the footage here, a lot of vintage toys. That's just the category that I don't know much about, but I do really appreciate it in this store, the diversity and just the overall selection. I think it's a great experience. Now, don't get me wrong, we live up in Minnesota. He's about 12 to 13 hours away, minus us going to New Orleans. So with that being said, I tried to milk as much footage and just kind of a quick showcase of his store as much as I can within the 50 minutes that they were still open. And then this was also during the time where we were still heading back to Minnesota, so we were on a long road trip ahead of us. So I gotta say, I definitely could have spent a lot more time in his store overall. I mean, like I said, we were only there for probably 30 minutes. This is a store that you could just keep coming back to over and over and over again, like a giant antique mall where you're constantly finding something new every single time you show up. And that, let me tell you, if I had all the money in the world, there is so many things out of his store that I would have loved to buy regarding the t-shirts and the video games and the knickknacks. There's so much crap that I want, but we were just basically there to do a showcase, and then we had to get back on the road to go to Minnesota. Now the question is, was Retro Rick's Game Point worth it? And to that I say, yes it is. I would consider that personally a dream store. Like I said, even though we were there for a brief amount of time, it was packed, it was vibrant, there was so many things to look at and let alone buy if you're looking to add to your collection. On point, 10 out of 10. Maybe on Game Point.
Stop it. Get some help.
Can't wait to go back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different than the traditional game hunting, but let me know, have you guys been to Retro Rick's game store yet? And if you have, did you like it? Otherwise, I will see you all in the next episode. Stay on the hunt.